I realized very quickly that the only way for us to really speed up the digital innovation is to get more focus. The core business, our old internal combustion engine, has to focus on restructuring and being profitable as it shrinks. Our new business have to have freedom to innovate without any speed issues.
2024 hasn't been a good year for Ford. This year, the company has been in the news for many wrong reasons, but this time, the Blue Oval has made a bold move that could rewrite its story and the future of transportation. So what exactly has Ford announced this time? And what does this seismic shift mean for the company, its loyal customers, and the industry at large? Join us as we delve into this shocking revelation and explore the potential implications. Let's rewind a bit to the post-pandemic years. For quite a while, Ford dealers were stuck in a tough spot. The big issue at the time was that these dealers just didn't have enough cars to sell. Inventory levels were rock bottom, and that left dealers scrambling to meet customer demand. But fast forward to today, and it's like the pendulum has swung the other way. Ford dealers now have way more vehicles on their lots than the industry average. And while that might sound like a good problem to have, it's not exactly smooth sailing. You see, having too many vehicles on hand comes with a hefty price tag. Dealers have to cover the costs of storing, maintaining, and insuring all those unsold cars, which eats into profits. Now though, Ford's CEO Jim Farley has been pretty vocal about wanting to shake things up. He's been eyeing the sales strategies of companies like Tesla and Rivian. What makes these relatively new companies different is that they don't rely on traditional dealerships. Instead, they sell cars online at fixed prices and keep minimal inventory. No crowded lots, no haggling, just a streamlined process. While Ford hasn't fully embraced that model yet, big changes are definitely on the horizon. According to the Detroit News, Ford is planning to reimagine how its dealers operate by the year 2025. Ford's ultimate goal is to drastically cut down on inventory levels and shift the focus toward digital shopping. This isn't as simple as flipping a switch though. A lot of car buyers still want that old school experience of walking onto a lot, sitting behind the wheel, and taking a test drive before committing to such a big purchase. At the same time, more people than ever are turning to online shopping for their next ride, attracted by the convenience of browsing and buying from home. Ford knows it has to get this balance just right. On one hand, they want to make the buying process as smooth and modern as possible. On the other hand, they also want to keep their dealership network in the loop. After all, these local dealerships have been the backbone of Ford's sales for decades. They're the ones who know their communities, handle vehicle servicing, and provide that personal touch you just can't get online. To bridge the gap, Ford is exploring ways to combine the best of both worlds. Think of a future where you can shop for a car online, customize it to your liking, and schedule a test drive or delivery through a local dealer. Or maybe you could even visit a showroom with a smaller, carefully curated selection of vehicles instead of rows and rows of unsold cars. For customers, these changes could mean a faster, more transparent car buying experience. No more haggling over prices or waiting weeks for your car to arrive. For dealers, it could mean less overhead and more focus on providing stellar service and building long-term relationships with buyers. Of course, change doesn't happen overnight. Ford is still ironing out the details and figuring out how to make this vision a reality. But one thing is clear, the auto industry is evolving, and Ford doesn't want to be left in the dust. By embracing digital innovation while keeping their dealers in the mix, they're aiming to create a model that works for everyone. According to Fordland's Jennifer Kolstad, in order for retail to be successful, we need our dealers to believe in it. She didn't sugarcoat it either, calling the shift contentious. The key to success, she explained, lies in predictive design. What does that mean? Essentially, Ford has to prove to its dealers that the investments they make into these new retail models will pay off in more ways than one. Kolstad touched on an important point. It's not just about selling more cars, it's about reaching more people, specifically groups that may have been overlooked or underserved in the past, like women and minority communities. By creating dealership spaces that are more inclusive and welcoming, Ford hopes to cast a wider net. It's not just about cars anymore. It's about crafting an experience that feels accessible and appealing to everyone. Imagine walking into a Ford showroom, and instead of being greeted by rows of cars and an eager salesperson, you find a cozy, inviting space. Maybe there's a coffee bar, some comfortable seating, and a sense of hospitality that feels more like a boutique hotel than a car lot. Kolstad describes this as a hospitality moment. The goal isn't to overwhelm customers with products, but to let them explore at their own pace. In the past, salespeople would guide, or let's be honest, sometimes drag, customers around the showroom. That's a thing of the past. Today's buyers want to call the shots, governing their own journey from start to finish. Whether it's through a tablet kiosk, a virtual configurator, or simply walking through a thoughtfully designed space, the power is now in the hands of the customer. This shift toward modernizing the dealership experience comes on the heels of Ford's failed Model E certified program. Rolled out as an ambitious attempt to modernize how electric vehicles were sold, the program aimed to adopt elements of the direct-to-consumer models used by Tesla and Rivian. But it hit a major roadblock: dealer pushback. The program required significant financial investments from dealers and introduced pricing models that many found restrictive. The backlash was intense, and in the end, Ford pulled the plug. However, the company isn't giving up on its broader vision. The Model E certified program might be history, but the lessons learned from that effort are now shaping a more balanced approach. What's particularly interesting is that Ford isn't limiting these changes to the United States. The push to modernize its dealership model is part of a global strategy. Across the world, car buyers are expecting more personalized, tech-driven, and seamless experiences. Ford is determined to meet those expectations while still preserving the essence of its dealership network, the local expertise and personal touch that online-only models can't replicate. Ford is cooking up something interesting to boost sales of their F-150 Lightning trucks. They've come up with a program that could net dealers as much as $22,500 just for doing what they do best: selling trucks. Let me break it down for you. So here's the scoop. Ford sent out a bulletin to its dealers with a pretty enticing offer. They'll pay dealers up to $22,500 if they make good use of something called Retail Replenishment Centers, or RRCs for short. These centers are part of Ford's plan to smooth out the distribution process, especially as they gear up for the shiny new 2024 model year of the F-150 Lightning. The program ran from mid-October to mid-November of this year, and it worked like this. For every F-150 Lightning a dealer pulled from an RRC to restock their inventory, Ford handed them a cool $1,000. If a dealer stocked more than 9 trucks, things got even sweeter. For units 10 through 15, that $1,000 per truck bumped up to $1,500. Plus, Ford made the bonus retroactive, so if a dealer hit that higher tier, they'd go back and get an extra $500 for each of the first 9 trucks. Add it all up, and you're looking at a potential payout of $22,500 in just 1 month. Not bad for moving some seriously impressive electric trucks. Here's the clever bit. These RRCs aren't just there to help Ford move metal faster. They're also designed to cut down the cost dealers face when selling electric vehicles, EVs. Stocking EVs can be pricey, and Ford's giving dealers a financial nudge to make it easier. Plus, since dealers don't need to keep as many vehicles on their lot thanks to these replenishment centers, they can focus more on getting trucks into customers' hands without worrying about piling up inventory. Ford recently shared details about a new program designed to further test the logistics and efficiencies of RRCs, and to increase RRC engagement. In simple terms, they're rolling out a strategy to make regional distribution centers, RRCs, work better and get more involved in the sales process. Here's the scoop. The program includes several trim levels of the F-150 Lightning, such as XLT, Flash, Lariat, and Platinum. But if you're hoping to snag the entry-level F-150 Lightning Pro, you're out of luck. It's still mostly reserved for fleet sales. So what's in it for buyers like you and me? Let's break it down. Potential benefits. Could you score a better deal? One good thing about this program is that it might encourage some dealers to sweeten the pot for customers. Think about it. If dealers are motivated to hit specific targets for Ford, they might offer better pricing or incentives to move more Lightnings off their lot. Even dealers who haven't been big players in the Lightning market might see this as their chance to get in the game, which could increase availability in some areas. Potential downsides. Will it limit your options? On the flip side, there's a chance this could mean fewer choices for buyers. If a dealer decides it's not worth keeping the Lightning in stock long term, they might reduce their inventory. For those of us who like to see, touch, and test drive a truck before buying, this could be a letdown. A more limited in-person selection might push some shoppers to rely on online orders instead. The timing. What's Ford up to? Here's where it gets interesting. The timing of this program has people wondering, is Ford trying to clear out its 2024 inventory ahead of the 2025 Lightning production? It's not crystal clear, but there are hints. Ford has been pulling out all the stops with aggressive deals lately. We're talking 0% financing for 60 months and even throwing in a free home charging station. That's not small potatoes. There's also an alternative offer on the table. Buyers or lessees who skip Ford's power promise can grab a $2,000 cash incentive, which can be combined with the 0% financing offer. Not bad, right? But here's the catch. Ford hasn't extended lease incentives for the 2025 Lightning EVs, so it feels like they're focusing on clearing the decks for the next wave. If you're thinking about buying an F-150 Lightning, this program adds a new layer of decision making. The deals are tempting, but it's worth asking yourself whether now is the right time to buy, or if you should wait and see what happens with the 2025 models. Will Ford introduce even better incentives, or will inventory start to dry up? You know, it's about time we heard some good news from Ford. Let's be real. Over the past few years, it's felt like they've been jumping from one issue to the next. And if we're being honest, they got a little too comfortable playing the price game. Back when the Bronco was the hottest thing since sliced bread, Ford decided to crank up the prices. They bumped up the MSRP. That's the manufacturer's suggested retail price, in case you're wondering. And some dealerships even tacked on extra charges, asking buyers to shell out above MSRP just to get their hands on these in-demand rides. At the time, it seemed like a power move. Demand was through the roof, and people were practically camping outside dealerships to snag a Bronco or an F-150. But fast forward a few years, and things aren't looking so hot. If you stroll into a Ford dealership today, you'll see what we're talking about. Those once coveted Broncos, F-150s, and Rangers. They're just sitting there looking all shiny but lonely, like someone forgot to invite them to the party. Dealerships have so much inventory piling up that they're literally running out of space. Some are even parking these trucks and SUVs on grassy fields nearby because their lots are overflowing. Picture rows of 2023 models sitting there, waiting for a home, while most other brands have already moved on to selling their shiny 2025s. Ford, however, is stuck in a bit of a time warp. As of November 2024, there are still 5,063 brand new 2023 Ford trucks sitting unsold on dealer lots across the country. Now, 5,000 trucks might not sound like much in the grand scheme of things, but here's the kicker. These leftovers account for 2.5% of all new Ford trucks currently available. That's a big deal, especially considering that most other car makers have already cleared out their older models to make room for the new ones. It's hard to believe, but Ford's 2025 models are practically phantoms on dealership lots right now. Out of more than 200,000 new Ford trucks available across the United States, fewer than 1,000 are 2025s. Yep, that's less than 0.5% of their total inventory. A year ago, getting your hands on a Bronco felt like hitting the jackpot. Fast forward to today, and you can find them pretty much everywhere. But let's not just single out the Bronco. The Ford F-150, one of the most iconic trucks in the automotive world, is facing the same fate. Dealerships have so many F-150s sitting around that the only way to clear the lot is to throw out some hefty discounts. And this isn't just a problem for one or two dealerships, it's a full-blown nationwide issue. The Ranger, another fan favorite truck, is in the same boat. Just a few months ago, you couldn't find one to save your life, and now dealers are practically waving people down to take them off their hands. The sheer volume of inventory has turned into a logistical mess for Ford. Dealerships are bursting at the seams with leftover 2024 models, leaving them scrambling to find space for the incoming 2025s. In some cases, trucks are being parked in auxiliary lots, grassy fields, or even nearby parking areas because the main lots are completely full. And here's the kicker, selling those shiny new 2025 models at higher prices. That's going to be one tough sell when dealers can barely move last year's inventory. Take the Ford Maverick, for instance. Just a short while ago, it was one of the hottest trucks on the market, and good luck finding one at a dealership. Now they're suddenly everywhere, and dealers are scrambling to offload them. They're offering discounts of $1,500 to $2,000, making the Maverick one of the more appealing deals in Ford's lineup right now. With its affordable pricing, the Maverick is still one of Ford's lowest priced trucks, and those discounts make it even more attractive. You can now grab a base trim Maverick for under $35,000, which isn't bad at all. Thanks to its lower price point, it's selling decently, at least compared to some of Ford's other vehicles. While discounts might help chip away at the mountain of unsold trucks, the bigger question is whether Ford can adjust its strategy to avoid this mess in the future. They've relied heavily on demand-driven pricing in the past, but the market has shifted. With rising interest rates, cautious spending, and a flood of inventory, Ford has to find a new playbook, and fast. Let's talk about the Ford Bronco, once the darling of SUVs, now a bit like that party guest who overstays their welcome. Or maybe it's more like a herd of Broncos just standing around, clogging up Ford dealership lots all over the country. Not too long ago though, this was the car to have. Remember when the Bronco made its big, bold comeback? Everyone went wild for it. It was like trying to get your hands on the hottest concert tickets. Waiting lists stretched for miles, dealerships slapped on jaw-dropping markups, and even Ford's own employees had to pay up. There was no favoritism here. It was pay to play, and people were lining up to throw money at it. But fast forward a couple of years, and oh, how the mighty have fallen. Those same Broncos that were once hotter than July, now they're sitting in dealership lots collecting dust. And not the cool, rugged kind of dust you'd pick up on an off-road adventure. Seriously, some dealerships are so packed with unsold Broncos, they're running out of parking spots. Rows of these shiny SUVs are lined up like dominoes, spilling onto grassy lawns or wherever else they can stash them. And guess what they're clearing space for? Yep, more F-150s, including the much talked about 2025 model that has everyone buzzing. It's wild to think about how fast the Bronco went from hero to zero, or at least to May. Back in the day, people were willing to pay just about anything for one. Now it's like Ford can't give them away. Take the 2024 Ford Bronco Badlands, for example. On paper, it's the off-roader's dream. It's got a rugged build that screams adventure, an aggressive design that looks like it could conquer mountains, and all the bells and whistles you'd expect in a premium SUV. Sounds perfect, right? Except for one tiny, okay, not so tiny, problem: the sticker price. The MSRP for this bad boy is a whopping $70,670. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. That's enough to make even the most loyal Bronco fan pause. And when you stack it up against its biggest rival, the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, which offers a similar level of off-road capability for a way friendlier price, the Bronco starts to feel like a tough sell. It's not like the Bronco suddenly became a bad car. It's still a solid SUV with rugged vibes, off-road chops, and a nostalgic nameplate that tugs at the heartstrings of adventure seekers. But what's changed? Well, the demand that once had buyers scrambling has cooled off, while the supply, oh, it's gone through the roof. Throw in rising interest rates and a shaky economy, and suddenly that gleaming Bronco in the showroom feels less like a must-have and more like a maybe later splurge. This whole saga feels like a textbook case of supply and demand flipping the script. When the Bronco made its grand comeback, Ford couldn't make them fast enough. That scarcity turned the Bronco into the automotive equivalent of the latest gadget. Everybody wanted one, and they were willing to pay a premium to get it. Dealers were raking it in, tacking on steep markups that had some buyers wincing, but still signing on the dotted line. Fast forward to now, and the market has done a complete 180. Production caught up, demand tapered off, and suddenly the tables have turned. Now it's buyers who are holding all the cards, while dealerships are left scrambling to clear out the surplus. You've got dealers practically rolling out the red carpet, offering discounts and incentives like it's the holiday season just to get these Broncos off their lots. So, what kind of deals are we talking about? Well, they're decent, but not exactly jaw-dropping. For example, some dealerships are dangling a $5,600 discount, sweetened with a $2,000 factory rebate. That adds up to a $7,600 price cut. Sounds pretty good, right? Except it still leaves the top-tier Badlands model with a price tag of $62,900. Ouch. In today's market, $62,000 is a lot to ask, even for an SUV as capable as the Bronco. With buyers tightening their budgets and so many other options out there, it's not surprising that these SUVs are sitting unsold. If Ford really wants to clear these out, they're going to have to go bigger with the discounts. Right now, $7,600 off is like offering a snack when the buyer is looking for a feast. It's not enough to seal the deal. The Bronco's journey from red-hot commodity to dealership dust collector isn't just a story about one SUV. It's a bigger lesson in how hype and scarcity can drive demand, but only for so long. When the novelty wears off and the market gets flooded, even the coolest cars can struggle. And it doesn't help when rising interest rates make financing a new ride more expensive than ever. The Bronco's story also highlights the challenges automakers face in pricing their vehicles. Sure, a $70,000 SUV might have made sense when buyers were willing to pay almost anything to get their hands on one. But in today's economy, that price point feels out of step. If Ford wants the Bronco to stay relevant, it's going to need a reality check and some serious pricing adjustments. Not necessarily. The Bronco is still an iconic nameplate with a lot of potential. Ford just needs to rethink its strategy, whether that means offering deeper discounts, introducing more budget-friendly trims, or even revamping the marketing to recapture some of that early magic. So what do you think about this? Let us know in the comments section. Also, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell to stay updated with all our latest videos. While you're still here, click the video on your screen to see more interesting content like this